fuck. Is it back up? Shit, did the internet go out? Hello? Is it back up? Okay. Sorry, the internet's been shit here as of late. I'm sorry about that. Where did I get cut off? Anyways, all I was saying was I say plenty that should be like incriminating because I've realized none of this matters, and after past experiences it's better to just have it all out there. So it's strange to see not only is irrelevant nonsense being posted that I've already been open about, or like just not even being honest about these stories, because it's like it's still stories about nothing. There was a post. What was it? There were plenty of posts in there that were also just situations that happened that I wasn't even involved with, and it wasn't anything that mattered anyways. Like, oh, he was like he was on DeviantArt. He used a Nintendo community, which he didn't get the right screen name for that. But it's all stuff I've talked about before. Why does that matter? I've recognized now that I need to just stop caring a lot about these things because I've already put this all out there. I was acting intimidated about the address and everything, but honestly, if someone finds it, you know, whatever. People are adults. I mean, you just use white pages if you want to find someone. It's not hard. The only reason I was really kind of defending that sort of thing is because, while I don't want to be bothered in person, it was mostly just because I don't want Julian to kind of be affected by all of this, because I've known plenty of lousy people in the past, and I'm sure it was why a lot of that stuff was so inaccurate anyways. I kept a lot about myself kind of private when I was doing stuff with the Best Gamers group, and that was the reason I did, because as you can see, one of them is very unstable, and like 6 years after everything happened is still getting mad about it. Everyone else is still friends though. I still talk to Rockhawk all the time, Chrissy I talk to all the time, Carnivore I talk to here and there, since he never seems to just really be around too much. But everyone's still friends for the most part. It's just one of them who is pretty visibly exposed that he's kind of trying to start fights. If anyone was watching when all that happened on Twitter, he was responding and egging on drama. But oh. It wasn't, it's really put into perspective how none of this matters, and I've probably done more harm to myself than anyone attempting to dig up information has been doing anyways. No one's found anything as it is. That one account was way off, so it doesn't really matter. But I'm sorry, I just want to make an apology for all that. I'm sorry for being kind of whiny about it for the past week. Just having that sort of response and having people go so nutty, on top of just a lot that's been going on, actual personal things that have been going on, it put me into a really bad spot. So just want to say sorry. I've realized now all of this is stupid and I really should just stop caring. But the other thing I want to say too is I see a lot of people also just saying like, well, stop responding to people in general. Don't let people like affect you with negativity, because people say like don't read the comment section and everything. This was unrelated to the comment section. This was just like directly coming to me, but at the same time, it's what I was saying before. I'm trying to be like as wide open as I can now, because it's just easier to do that. It's these things don't matter, and letting them matter is a mistake. It's I mean, it's why Julian kept his Tumblr up and everything. He doesn't care. All that's accessible. His FA is accessible, so's mine. I don't really care. So, I mean, it is what it is, and it's why I want to respond to feedback too, because if there's things people don't enjoy about what we've been doing, if people want us to improve on certain things, or they don't like discussion points we have when we're doing recording sessions or any of that, I want to address it. I don't want to be somebody who is doing video content and just sitting there like, no, everything I do is right. Everyone's a moron, everything I do is right, and people seem to get bugged by that if we discuss anything, because I guess they get kind of a sense of that, like, oh, he's talking about his opinion on games again because he thinks he's right about everything. But I always try to say whenever we do that now, like, this is just how I feel. If you're able to enjoy this, more power to you. It's just how I may feel about something. Or on the opposite end, I was even saying with ukulele, I'm surprised how harsh people were with a lot of aspects of it, because there weren't problems in all those areas. So it's why I respond so much to that kind of thing. It's because I want to be someone who actually hears out that kind of stuff. I want to get feedback. I want to try to make things better. But I'll say again, like, I'm sorry that I was being a big baby idiot on Twitter for like the past week over this. And people were saying that too, like, oh, let's fuck with these guys who are trying to mess with you. Please do not do that. I actually got muted on our own subreddit, by the way, which was kind of funny. I don't know why. It's bizarre. That's unrelated. Point is, though, I went out of my way to just kind of remove a thread, because it was a lot of discussion about that. Like, okay, let's fucking get back at these guys. Don't do that, because as disappointed as I am that one of the people from the Best Gamers who burned bridges with that entire friendship circle, everyone else is still friends, they're the odd man out. As much as I'm disappointed that 6 years later he's still going out of his way trying to fuck with everybody, I'm not gonna go to that level. I don't care. Everyone's focused on their own lives and doing work, projects, actually trying to achieve things they want to do, and hopefully he'll get to do things he wants to do too. Hopefully he'll get over this. But I'm not gonna resort to that kind of level. I'm not gonna name drop him or anything. I'm not gonna like dump his information somewhere. I don't care enough to. I don't think that's the right way to respond to it anyways. That's why I'm not going to encourage that sort of thing either. If people think like, oh, I should be shitty because they're being shitty. No, the lesson is, being shitty is the problem. Don't act like an asshole. Set a better example by not being a prick. So, anyone who is making posts like that, please do not do that. That's really, really awful. If you're seriously thinking that's a solution here, don't make this like a rabid Markiplier fan base. Don't do that kind of thing. I don't like that. But after seeing that thread, I think it's funny, because I still don't get that. I really don't get that. Why with how minimal a lot of this stuff is anyways, like, oh, being on Second Life, oh, using this website, or anything like that, all of that doesn't matter anyways, so why also exaggerate stories about it? Or throw in things that never happened, or just not even knowing proper information anyways. There's a lot of that happening too, where things were being put from other people on others. Like, I saw a post about how, oh, Rockhuck did this when he never did that. It was just all over the place, but it was just him posting. It was only 7 unique posters in a thread of 300 posts. All of it I could tell with how it was typed and what sort of stuff, who it was. It made me feel a lot better, and it really made me recognize now, like, I just need to stop caring about that sort of thing. I still want to respond to feedback, though. If people aren't happy with how we're doing videos or whatever, I do want to improve on that. And like I said, I encourage people to tear apart our games when they come out. Please do that. I like to see what actually works for an audience and what doesn't. And if anything feels off to people, anything like that, I'd like to hear. And I'm hoping for that sort of thing. I'm sure we're going to get it, especially now that it's like tied to us. Like, Trick or Treat, when that comes out, I'm sure it's going to get blasted. But I said it before, I'm going to try to hold off on discussing game stuff in videos, since I know people want to just kind of hear goofy noises rather than that kind of discussion. And I said it before, I think it's a problem I've always had with people. I think the tone of my voice and everything always gets misread, so people think I'm trying to act high and mighty. I'm not. I'm really not. I'm sorry if it comes off that way. I want to make discussion while we're doing those videos. And well, I think some kids just got busted for street racing out there. But I'm gonna try to ease off on all of that. It's probably been annoying to hear in the videos. I'm sorry. I saw people get really, really upset about the Nine Woods discussion. And like I said, we don't have a timer going either. We don't know how it's going to be cut, so something that seems like a short discussion ends up actually lasting a few episodes, and that's no good. I don't want that. Yeah, that's right. They found out that they found out I have a crush on a Digimon. They're gonna arrest me. We did record on Friday. We didn't get too much recorded, but you're probably going to see it in that one because I wasn't in the best mood. I'm very quiet in it, but it was also because it's like I was trying to hold off on really saying anything either. I've just been hearing that a lot too, that people just kind of don't like my presence in videos at this point, so I tried to limit what I said pretty heavily. I still feel stupid. I forgot where a honeycomb in Banjo-Kazooie was, so we spent probably an episode looking for it. It was underwater. I just didn't remember where it was underwater. So, apologies in advance for that one. That's I'm sure that'll bug some people. I was bothered on that. When I say that, by the way, when I say it'll bug some people, I'm not trying to say that condescendingly. I'm actually saying, like, I'm sorry for that one. Because keep in mind, like, before we were doing these videos, I was in a position like anyone else where I was just kind of watching this sort of thing. So that would irritate me too if I was watching a series like that. And I ended up seeing these people miss something that I was aware of, and they should be aware of because they're coming and playing this game. That's why I don't really feel good about doing, I don't feel good about doing blind playthroughs anymore without kind of playing it in advance. Ukulele, someone was saying like, how could they miss that one ghost behind the beginning? It's because you're not going to know that on first playthrough, that it's just right there, you drop down. We did find it later, but it's that sort of thing. Like, I could see myself leaving comments like that too if I played a game and I saw someone else playing it. Also, people in the chat who were saying like, I can't believe these people are... I'll say it again, this isn't because I'm seeing this sort of feedback, it's also because I feel that way on my own. And it's part of why I feel anxious about these videos going up sometimes, because I know I did like a poor job of something while playing it, or other things like that. God Hand, I'm sort of dreading if we end up playing it, because on one end, I'm going to be having a very, very good time playing it. Unless Chris hates it. I could see Chris hating it. I think he does hate it. But, it's also a very, very hard game, and making commentary while playing a game like that is going to be difficult. And it's very easy to make small mistakes in God Hand. If you're on level die and you even just get slightly poked by an enemy, it's going to take off either a third of your health or half of your health. It's really significant if you make a mistake. So if I even goof up slightly, I'm going to probably die. And when you're on level die especially, health pickups are pretty scarce. But I feel like that's going to be kind of a messy series just for that. I'm going to be really nervous playing it because I don't want to make mistakes. And it's the kind of game that it's very hard not to make mistakes, especially because it's very true. It is a game that if you die in it, it's kind of your fault if you recognize it, if you understand how the game already functions, because a lot of enemies use attacks that you use, or they use patterns that are shared across other enemies. So it's like, okay, he does this thing where he swings at you 3 times, and then he does this really long attack at the end. If they hold something like a girder, for example, and they swing it at you, they either swing it down on you, which you have to sidestep, or they swing it to the left, they swing it to the right, which you can just dodge in place. Then they swing it down on you, which is when you want to go in for an attack. That kind of thing. That's shared across most of the enemies in the game, so you pick up on that around the beginning and you become familiar with it for the rest of the game. But you do need to pick up on that. You don't know that out the door. So there is like a little bit of learning to it. But after you do that little bit of learning, almost everything in the game is kind of on you at that point. But what's also on you is positioning, and if you are caught in a bad position, you could die immediately for it. The challenge arena matches can be a lot of that, because they try to drop like 3-5 enemies on you in a really tight area. So to win those fights without dying, it's you hitting everyone, running away, hitting everyone, running away, just a lot of that, since you don't have room to really move. I feel like that's the one thing I could probably say about God Hand that I'm not the biggest on, is that crowd fights are kind of messy thanks to that. But I still like them. I still like crowd fights because they feel really intense. And you feel like you're really on par with enemies in God Hand because of that. You don't feel like you're fighting weak little grunt enemies in a video game. You feel like you're fighting someone who is kind of the same as you, and that's all I could ever ask for from a game. I like that sort of intensity. I don't think I'm gonna die in the first area of the game, I'll say that. The first area, it's very easy to space everything out and get good fights on everyone. You're not gonna... If you know how to play God Hand, you're not gonna struggle with the first area too much. Outside of maybe the demon appearance, if you're not good at fighting demons, but the... you can't hit level die right out the door. Well, you can, but the demon spawn at the beginning, it's always the ones from kind of demon, and those demons are very easy to fight. What do? They shoot the fireballs at you, which that's probably the most threatening thing they have, honestly, because they can do it at different rates. You have to sidestep them. It's not a big deal. I think the most threatening thing actually is when they get behind you and you have to counterattack them, because if you're dodging in place and they get behind you, the counter prompt actually will disappear and reappear after you're dodging in place. So sometimes you have to have like amazing reaction times to pull those off. I think it only stays up on screen for like 25, 30 frames. You barely have time to counterattack if they get behind you, and you're gonna lose almost all of your health if you don't counterattack them when they get behind you. It's a big deal because they grab you. It's not just an attack; they grab you. But they're pretty easy to fight outside of that. There's so much room to make really bad mistakes, but if you can recognize everything they're doing, you're probably not going to make a mistake, and you can get them out without too much difficulty. Or you can just burn your god hand if you're going to be a weenie. I think if I play it on the show, I guess after I take my first death, I'm going to probably start using the god hand. But I would like to see how far I could go without relying on it. But God Hand is a really, really fun game. I recommend it to everybody. Controls in it are... They take some getting used to, but you will love them once you get used to them. And thanks to how it controls, combat feels incredible in it. Plus, if you're familiar with fighting games, some of that familiarity is actually going to come into play in God Hand. Like, if you want to... There's combos, like there's legitimate combos, because if you knock enemies back into a wall, you can juggle them off the wall. You can set things up to keep them locked into the wall. You can cancel attack animations after the attack already connects too, by dodging after the animation comes out. There's just so much to it. It's crazy how solid the combat in that game is. It feels so good to play. Just the sound effects too, the animations, just how over the top the attacks in it feel and everything too. It's wonderful. It's a very, very good game. But God Hand's difficulty, I feel like it's probably going to turn a lot of people away, but for me personally, I adore it because it feels right at home with me in terms of how fast you need to be to react to a lot of things. I'm sure if I had slightly better reflexes, it would maybe feel kind of easy-ish. Because that's like the same kind of thing for Guilty Gear, for example. Guilty Gear, some of the overheads in that game can come out in like 8 frames, so you just have to predict them ahead of time. And most overheads come out at like 14 frames if people use tricks, because you can use barrier canceling when you jump off the ground to do quick overheads. So being able to read that 14 frames visually, very, very difficult to do. Most people do not have reactions that incredible, and I sure don't. I think I can react to something within like 19 frames visually. I think I can respond to something. On average, it's usually 20 to 22 frames. That's kind of the area where a player in a game can respond to something visually. So, God Hand does a lot of that. Any time it has like a quick time prompt, that's the timing window on it. It's really, really tight. So, it doesn't feel like a weak little quick time event for like, oh, I get to feel so cool, look at me doing this little animation while mashing a button. It doesn't feel like that in God Hand. Because you barely have time to respond to it, it feels like life or death, and when you see that pop up on screen, you freak the fuck out and want to hit it as quick as you can. You always feel on edge in it. That's why I just really love it. Getting to feel on edge in a video game is the most wonderful thing, and if you lose that, I feel really bad for you, because I mean, I feel like I've become kind of numb to that in a lot of games. Getting that kind of thrill out of something is fantastic, and that's why I play a lot of games, just because I like that sort of thing. It's why Super Monkey Ball felt great to go back and play. The intensity of that game, oh my god, it felt so good playing that again. But, I don't know. I did it again, by the way. I started going into Game Talk. I need to limit myself on that more. This is... I'll put the disclaimer out there again. This is just how I feel. I'm sorry if it sounds like me trying to say that this is a thing for everybody. It's completely on me. Oh, that's true. God Hand doesn't run at 60. I'm being a moron. God Hand runs at 30. I keep thinking it runs at 60 because I was playing it emulated for a while, and it ran at 60 emulated. It doesn't run at 60 on console. It runs at 30. So that's kind of a bigger deal, since visually you have less time to see something come up on screen and respond to it. I forgot about that. I guess that's one thing I would like about it, if it ran a little bit better. Especially for what kind of game it is, but I don't even mind it too much. It's true, Monkey Ball 2 did have a story mode. Monkey Ball 2 I wanna play. We don't actually have it at the office. I'd like to play it. I loved it. It felt like a perfect sequel. Yeah, they say E.E. Pooh, I remember. But, what I was gonna say about the games that we're working on, Trick or Treat, I probably mentioned this repeatedly, but I guess it doesn't need it, but I'm gonna just throw it out there again that, Trick or Treat was not a thing that we really wanted attached to like Oni plays and everything. It was meant to just kind of exist as its own thing, because it wasn't going to be a big, grand, spectacular game. It was just going to be a little arcade shooter, and a lot of people, because of that, are sort of disappointed, and I don't blame them. It was the game we were going to release first because it's like, okay, well, it's already close to done. Let's get it out there. Bippy is going to be the first big project we're doing. It's going to take a few years to make. It's very early in development. We don't have too much. Which is why it's kind of weird seeing anyone who responds with like, oh, so this is a platformer. I mean, it's in a debug room. We really don't have much of it yet. It's going to be a while. Especially with how much we want to do animation for it. It's going to be a very large-scale project, and it's going to be something we're focusing a lot on. Trick or Treat was meant to be something kind of just small, simple, see if we could do it. And it was, even though both of these games are games that we want to do together, me and Julian, I would say Trick or Treat is more focused around his sensibilities, and Tough Bippy is more around what I would be kind of... I don't even want to say interested, because I'm interested in what he wants to do with the Trick or Treat. I mean, a lot of the ideas there are ones that I had too, that we discussed, or, I mean, how many of the characters did I design? I think I designed 4 of the 6 playable characters that are in there right now. So... It's a thing we both want to do. And I can tell I'm very out of it tonight cleaning these. It's also very, very hot. I turned the fans off just because I don't want that getting over the microphone. Music's too loud. I turned it down a lot. I'm surprised it's still too loud. Is that better? Yeah, Shovel Knight has an amazing soundtrack. Also, thank you, Isabel Melham, for $20, saying, "Keep being you." Well, thank you. Isabel Melham, you donate like every stream. You don't have to keep doing that. Oof, I coughed. Oof, I coughed again. I said before though, please don't donate. Don't donate this stream, and I'm not joking around when I say that either. I'm not trying to be like Mr. Humble to goad people into donating. I'm being dead serious. We got so many people donating last time, and I feel bad about it. And if someone donates again, I feel like I'm just gonna have to, I don't know, go out of my way to just kind of put this on pause and refund it immediately. Oh, it's that I'm not loud enough? Really? Huh. I'll turn the mic up more. Turn the music back up a little bit. Okay, is that good? Anyways, yeah. Okay. It's gonna take a lot of cleaning on this still. But you can see with these frames too, his tail kind of... Oh, that's why this is animating wrong. Because it's been from this to this. But you can see his tail kind of sucks inward like that and then puffs back out when he punches. But your punch in the game is very, 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 very quick. Comes out on the second frame, so you can respond to things quickly in it.